Welcome back to Fresh Bread. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know it's been a little while since we last posted, but we're back and I have a new episode for you guys. Make sure that you like the video, that you comment on the video, and please share with a friend. You never know if this message might be the very thing that your friends need to hear. So please share it with a friend. Thank you so much for being here again, and we'll get right into the topic. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the champion. We know that God is fighting our battles. We know that He is our champion. But I like to draw some parallel or some attention to this thought. In boxing, you've got a ring, an arena, there's crowds and all this pomp and circumstance, if you will. But you've got this ring and you got two fighters. And many of you know very famous fighters, Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, just to name a couple. But there's dozens out there that we could talk about. But if you're going to be a fighter, you have to know your opponent. And if you're going to be a fighter, you have to go through all the training necessary to step into that ring, and you're there to win that fight, win that match. And so I'd like to kind of parallel that to, or make that reflect to, the Lord. The Lord, whenever He robed Himself in flesh, He came down to this earth. And He came into this arena, if you will. He came to fight a foe. He came to fight death. He came to fight hell. He came to fight sin. He came to this earth, this arena, and He got into this ring, into this boxing ring, let's say, and was intent on what He was doing here so that He could restore relationship with humanity, so that He could defeat death, hell, and the grave. And so that's essentially what's happening here. But I'd like to take a peek at some of the trials that the Lord had to encounter as He stepped into this arena, that He stepped into this ring. Throughout His ministry, He taught and performed miracles and did so many wonderful things, touched so many lives. And at the very end, He was brought before the Sanhedrin. He was brought before the religious leaders of that day, and they were going to judge Him. They captured Him, and they had been wanting to do this for so long of a time, and they finally had their moment. And so I'd like to take a little screenshot, or not really a screenshot, but I'd like to take a quick peek, kind of look at the timeline from when He was brought in until He was crucified. Because in each moment that we're going to discover, these were the fatal blows, right? These were the knockout punches that would knock out anybody, that would take a toll on anyone. But for Jesus, He knew His opponent and He knew what He was up against. But He still fought that fight anyway because He wanted to restore relationship with us. So here's this timeline real quick. I'm going to get into this. So Judas betrays Him. The disciples forsake Him. The priests accuse Him of blasphemy. The priests spit on Him. They slap Him on the face. They mock Him. Peter, arguably his closest disciple, denies Him. Jesus is brought before Pilate and judged by the people. Then Barabbas is chosen over Jesus to be released back into the public. And Barabbas was a known criminal, and Jesus was innocent. The crowd chooses Jesus to be crucified. So He's taken into custody by the Roman soldiers. He's stripped of His clothes, His dignity, and they mock Him. They put this robe on Him. They put this crown of thorns on Him. They put this reed in His hand. They're mocking Him. And the soldiers, they're bowing before Him, and they mock Him and say, "Hail, King of the Jews." And the soldiers, they spit on Him. They strike Him. And then after all that, then they take him to be scourged. And this whole process is just brutal. And he's beaten viciously. He's whipped, and he's done. It just he is. Any one of these actions would be enough for anyone to throw in the towel, so to speak. Like when boxers are in the ring and they're fighting against a fierce opponent, and the opponent is so good and so ready and so skilled that the coach of the one of the boxers, if he thinks there's no way he's going to win, or there's no way my fighter is going to win, then they're going to throw in that white towel to signify we're done. We're throwing in the towel. We're not going to be able to stand in this fight. And all of this that Jesus goes through is enough for any one of us to throw in the towel and to say, I've had enough. I can't do this. But yet he continues on, and he continues to fight, and he continues to battle in this arena, trying to take on death, hell, and the grave for us. And so after all of that, they take him out and they lead him up to be crucified. They force him to carry the cross up the hillside. They get to the top of the mountain, and then they fasten him to the cross, not just by tying rope, but by nailing him to the cross. And they drive these big nails, not just little tiny nails, but big nails into his hands and into his feet. And then they mock him further as they begin shouting, he could save others, but he cannot save himself. If you really are the king, if you really are Christ, save yourself. And then after all of that, he dies. And so what looks to be like a victory from death, it looks like to be a victory from Satan. It looks like a victory from sin. But we know what ends up happening. The stone is rolled away. When he's put into that tomb, it's thought that he was gonna that was it. No more. There's no more hope. But when the tomb when the stone was rolled away from the tomb and he came out glorified, we knew right then and there that he conquered death, that he had conquered hell, that he had taken the keys to hell, that he had defeated sin once and for all. And so Jesus knew his enemy. He knew what he was up against, and he knew that he was going to be victorious. But many times we feel like we're up against a foe that is so strong and so powerful and just so skilled that we don't have a chance. And it feels like this weight that we're carrying or this battle that we're in is just insurmountable, that we can't achieve this victory that we want to achieve. But the truth is, by ourselves, we can't. And that's the truth. We can't by ourselves. But when we come to Jesus, when we come to him, he fights our battles for us. And we know that our enemy, our adversary, is very cunning and crafty. And we know that the works of the flesh are very tempting at times. And these are all considered what I would consider just knockout blows. These are the things that are trying to beat us down so bad that we throw in the towel. The works of the flesh, here they are: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envy, murderers, revelries, and the like, of which I tell you beforehand, just as I told you in time past, that those who practice such things will not inherit the kingdom of God. Notice something, that it's those who practice those things. But if we're active in trying to stay away from them, if we're active in trying to pursue Jesus, these things won't have a hold on us. And things even that go beyond or maybe are parallel to these things, like gossip, like anxiety, like depression, like thoughts of suicide, having your best friend turn their back on you, your mom and dad divorcing, your parents abandoning you, being bullied at school. Any one of these things are considered knockout blows. They're the fatal blow, the fatal punch, the thing that makes us want to throw in the towel. But if we will take our just a step away from just a moment from those things, and we say, my eyes need to be on Jesus. Jesus is big enough and bad enough, or strong enough, let's say, not bad, but strong enough and powerful enough and good enough and holy enough and everything enough to defeat the gossip, to defeat the anxiety, to defeat the selfish ambitions, to defeat the jealousy in my heart, to defeat that feeling that I feel after I have been bullied. He's big enough to fight these battles. And he came down into this arena, this ring, this boxing ring, to fight for us. And I can tell you this, that he's on our side. And we have somebody that we can rely on. He conquered death, hell, and the grave, so that you could have a fighting chance, so that you could conquer your flesh, so that you could conquer your enemy, which is the devil. So, we leave you with this. You can do this, not because you're strong enough, but because your God is strong enough. And he went through all of that and then some to make sure that you would know whatever you're up against, he can handle it and he can fight for you. But that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in today. God bless you. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you in the next one.